we don't start with cutting out foods in the hormone reset program. We don't do that. We actually start with adding in foods because keto, intermittent fasting, eating clean, all of these quote unquote diets out there that we think are going to make us healthy aren't in reality supporting your hormones. Okay, ladies, so I want to talk today about why you've been eating quote unquote clean and you still have all your hormonal issues, you're still having painful periods, you still can't lose weight. Maybe you feel like you're either on or off the wagon when it comes to eating clean. First though, I want to take a moment for my plant. My plant is still alive. I love you guys when you comment, you're like, your plant looks amazing. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad that it still is alive. What are we going on? I think we're going on 3 months now that I have kept this plant alive. So I don't know who I am. I'm a new human now because obviously now I'm not a plant killer. So I don't know what I'm doing differently, but we are having very positive thoughts about keeping plants alive instead of calling myself a plant killer. I'm an ex-plant killer. So what we want to talk about today is why symptoms are still there, even though you're eating a clean diet. Like, what do you need to do next? Like, what on earth is going on? So this first part, I may just lose you all. You may just all turn off the episode. So I apologize for that. But is that everybody's idea of eating clean, and I hate the word clean. Like, what does clean even mean? Like, you wash your food? It's like a whole trend that came out that started putting a moral code on food. Like, food is good or bad. You're either eating clean or you're not eating clean. As in, you're eating healthy or not eating healthy. Well, guess what? Everybody's idea of healthy and clean is very different. And this is the part where I seriously don't mean to offend you. So, because this really used to be me, is that your idea of eating healthy or what you're calling clean may not actually be as healthy as you think it is. And that is literally just not your fault. Okay, so let's start there. It's not your fault. We do the best that we can with the tools that we have. And if you don't know, how can you change? Like, how can you make those differences in the tools that you want? And the reason why I'm going to explain this, and you can kind of see what category you are falling into, is for some people, they think that eating healthy means not eating any meat. And I'm not going to dive into that in this episode because I have a whole episode coming out about the benefits of animal products, but that could be part of it. Or maybe you're someone whose your idea of eating clean is, I never eat out and I don't eat processed sugar, which again, it's a great component, but we might be missing part of the picture. Or maybe your idea of eating clean and healthy is that you regularly do juice cleanses. Some people be like, I never eat gluten or dairy and I don't overeat. So I keep my calories down really low. I do intermittent fasting. I do keto. Like, everybody's version of this is so wildly different. And that's why when people say I have all these symptoms and I'm eating really healthy, I just keep my mouth shut until I hear what is actually going on. And then I can help you, because I so often have women just like you come into the hormone reset program and they're like, I eat really well, I think. I don't know why I'm still having these issues. And then they will, I kid you not, be like, actually, I mostly eat my kids' leftovers and I just grab and go and I never sit down and eat a meal because I'm so stressed. So let me just say that this is not your fault. And so if you feel like you're eating clean and you're still having symptoms, I really challenge you to look at, what are you actually eating? And by that, I mean, start with a food audit. So by a food audit, I mean, literally just take pictures of your food or whatever, put it in the notes section of your phone for a week, just to get an idea of what you are actually eating, like what's actually going on there. And the reason why I say that is so many times I will have women say things like, I actually eat really well. Today was just an off day. I actually eat really well. Like, today I had to rush the kids to sports. And as you track your food for the week, you start to realize that even though the idea is to eat a certain way in our thoughts, in reality, all of those, this was an off day, are actually your normal days. And sometimes we just don't realize that until we put pen to paper. We can see a pattern. So that's a good place to start. I would say that's a great place to start. And then number two, I don't care if you are like, I don't eat gluten, I don't eat dairy, I try to cut my calories, I try to do this, I try to do that, no matter what it is. If it's not specifically like what you need and it's not specifically supporting your hormones, you're still going to be having issues. So if you're eating the same foods, all the time, but you're literally just not getting in enough soluble fiber, so your body can't detox estrogen well, no matter how perfect your calorie amount is, no matter how perfect your macro count is, if we're not getting enough of that nutrient in that you specifically need based on what's going on with your hormones, you're not going to feel better. So that's one thing that I think is really kind of important to take note of. And then secondly, no matter what is going on, whether you're eliminating certain foods, you're staying away from certain things, you're doing all these things, you need to balance your blood sugar. And I know I sound like a robot here. I know. And the reason why this is so important is because if you master this, this will change your life. And I have so many women that come into the Hormone Reset program who feel like they've been doing a great job with balancing their blood sugar. They're like, I can't do any better, but I'm still having these symptoms. And we just make a couple tweaks to their food and zim, zam, zoom, they're noticing a difference. So it's really just sometimes having somebody else look at what you're doing is what you need. It's really, really a big game changer because it's so easy. I'm telling you, it's so easy to get caught up in our day to day and be like, this was just an off day. This was just an off day. But in reality, maybe it's not. And if you've been on nutrition plans before for like gut issues or H. pylori or SIBO or low FODMAP or whatever, and so you're like, I just have to go on something really restrictive in order to feel better. That's also not true. I don't think that food has a moral code. Well, actually, I don't think that. I know food doesn't have a moral code. It's not good or bad. There's food that nourishes your body and there's food that nourishes your soul. And we do need to focus more on the foods that are nourishing the body, but it is very important, equally important, to include foods that nourish the soul. And again, that's where blood sugar balance comes in, because you really love peaches. Great. Let's figure out a way to work them in, right? But when you've done restrictive diets in the past, I think it's really easy to think, I'm on or off the diet. I'm on or off the wagon. Especially, I see this with people who eat clean. I don't even know what the definition of clean is, but a lot of times when I see people say they eat clean, it's like gluten and dairy free, refined sugar free, and maybe no seed oils. It kind of depends. But you can do all of those things and still have wildly imbalanced blood sugar and still have a lot of inflammation in the body and therefore not feel great. So that's why giving a quote unquote label to clean eating and then being frustrated that you don't feel better is not going to help you. We don't start with cutting out foods in the Hormone Reset program. We don't do that. We actually start with adding in foods. Because A, too many women are chronically under eating, and then B, we need to learn how to nourish our bodies. We need to learn how to plate our food and balance our blood sugar for our hormones. And keto, intermittent fasting, eating clean, all of these quote unquote diets out there that we think are going to make us healthy aren't in reality supporting your hormones. They aren't. Keto, we're missing carbs, and we need carbs to convert T4 to T3. We need carbs to support ovulation. I'm just going to say it. With a lot of these other diets out there, we're wildly missing blood sugar balance. Just because you cut out foods doesn't mean that you don't focus on blood sugar balance. Some of these foods were wildly missing fiber, and we need fiber for our gut. We also need soluble fiber to bind to that excess estrogen and shoop it on out, right? You need all these different components for hormones. So when I have women that come to me and they eat clean or they do whatever, and they're like, I have my diet it's dialed down. I don't need help with that. I respect the fact that that is truly what you are thinking, but let's actually just take a look through a different lens. Let's take a look through your lab lens. Let's take a look through the hormone lens and see if you actually have things dialed in for what you specifically are needing and for your hormones. Looking through a hormone lens is just a different way of looking at your food. When I think about my food and plating it, I always start with blood sugar balance. Then I'm like, okay, did I get my soluble fiber in for the day? Did I get my potassium and magnesium rich foods in to support my thyroid and to support magnesium absorption and my adrenals? And I just look at it through a slightly different lens. And I think that when it comes to our nutrition and our food, if you feel like you have it dialed in and you're still having symptoms, there's a few next steps that we should take. Number one, have an open mind. It may not be as dialed in as you think. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you didn't know. And so now that we can dial in and get a little bit more specific, that would be great. So have an open mind. Ask for help. Have an open mind. Number two, if you feel like you are doing all of the right things, diet and nutrition wise, and you're still having symptoms, there could very well be an absorption issue. It could very well just be that it's not related to nutrition. It's related to your gut. It's related to your stomach acid. It's related to your nervous system. If you are constantly eating in fight or flight, you can eat the best food on planet Earth and you're going to have digestive issues. You're not going to be utilizing it correctly because your digestion is in fight or flight. What gets shut down when we're in fight or flight? Digestion. We are not horses. We don't poop and run. We're not prey animals. We sit and poop. I mean, I literally don't even think we could poop and run. I don't think it's possible. We're not prey animals. We're the predator. So that means that when we are in fight or flight, when we are getting chased by the lion, digestion's going to slow down because your body is going to say, okay, we cannot poop and run from a lion at the same time. So if you feel like nutrition's dialed in, here are some other places to look. Nervous system dysregulation. We should do a whole episode on this. But when you say things like, oh, I regulate my nervous system because I journal or I put my legs up a wall, it's not actually regulating your nervous system. That would be unloading your stress bucket. And that is a very good start. It's a very good start. But regulating your nervous system is when you are actually making your nervous system more adaptable. So you're literally getting rid of stored emotions in the body. You are helping your body be more adaptable to stress so you can handle more, not in a bad way, but like you're able to shift really quickly from fight or flight back to rest. Your body doesn't get stuck in one or the other. So that can definitely be a really big thing going on. And then also just a simple absorption issue. If we have gut bugs, if we have gut dysbiosis, if we have H. pylori, if we have low stomach acid, anything like that, you can be eating the right food. But if we don't have the nutrients that we need in our gut to break it down, it's just not going to do any good. So that is definitely something to think about and pay attention to. And then the other thing that is that you may be just really, really depleted in certain areas. And there's certain things that I see here. So for example, you may eat all of the magnesium rich foods, but it's really quite depleted in the soil. And over 78% of women are depleted in magnesium in the US. So you could eat all the magnesium rich foods and I still don't think that you're going to notice a difference. You're probably going to need to supplement with that. It's just how it is. And so there's certain minerals and nutrients like that where you could be eating all the right foods. You could be doing all of the right things. But if we don't have literally the correct nutrients in there, like you actually need a supplement for that, then it's not going to help. So that is definitely something to pay attention to. So if you are someone that's like, I eat cleanly, I know how to do all the nutrition, here are some ways for you to look into. Testing could definitely be a great way. Have an open mind. Have an open mind. And the reason why I say that is I have had dietitians, nutritionists, other health coaches go through the hormone reset program. And I promise you that they all will tell you that they learn something they didn't realize because we're looking at it from the lens of hormones. So it's very different. And so then you know, okay, I know what foods to bring in based on these hormones. And based on my symptoms, I know what foods I need to focus on. It just can be very different. Number 2, do a food audit. Like, are you actually eating what you think you're eating? And I know that sounds wild, but you'd be surprised that you're not actually eating what you think you're eating. So doing a little audit there can be really, really helpful. And then also coming back to those basics. I talk about blood sugar balance till I'm blue in the face, but no matter what diet and nutrition plan you're doing, you need to be balancing your blood sugar. I do not care what it is. It needs to be balancing blood sugar. It's number 1 foundation. And then number 2, I don't know what number 1. Are we on number 3? Reason why? I think we're on number 3. Recap, nervous system. If we are chronically in fight or flight, you can be eating all the right things, but we're not going to be utilizing it correctly. Our digestion is going to be off. And then lastly, you can be having literally absorption issues in the gut. Like you could have gut bugs, you could have gut dysbiosis, you could have H. pylori, you could have low stomach acid, you could not be making enough of certain enzymes to break down your food. And so therefore, even if you're eating all of the right foods, we don't have those components, we're not going to be utilizing it correctly. And in some cases, maybe you need to bring in supplementation. So this is where making sure that you are not blindly throwing spaghetti at a wall can be really helpful for you. This is where I recommend having somebody just look things over. If you want to go over and learn a little bit more about blood sugar balance, you want to learn a little bit more about nervous system regulation, go to freehormonetraining.com and it will take you to the free mini course, the Hormone Balance Reset. And it will go through my top 3 secrets for balancing hormones naturally and give you some examples, and we'll go through some food and some nervous system stuff and things like that. And I think that would be really helpful for you. But my biggest thing when people say like, I'm eating clean and I'm not feeling any better is have an open mind. Have an open mind and really take a look and be like, am I eating the way I think I'm eating? And then what shifts can I make? Where can I ask for help? You know, it's okay to ask for help. It doesn't mean you're doing things wrong. It just means we can't change what we don't know. And when you know, then you can change, then you can feel better. So instead of spending more years and more months throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks, just ask for help. Just ask for help. It will get you there so much faster. Okay. So go to freehormonetraining.com and go ahead and save your spot for the free mini course. Well, not save your spot. It will just get sent to your inbox right away. Okay. I hope this was helpful. I hope that it kind of just makes you take a look at your food a little bit. I think we all sometimes need a little bit, what am I actually eating? And realize that food's not good or bad. It doesn't have a moral code, right? So it's not like you're on or off the wagon when it comes to food. It really is just, are we nourishing our body from that foundational hormone standpoint?